Welcome back to the show, guys. This is going to be an incredible show. So I am going to, shut up, and I'm going to let you kind of take the helm tonight, brother. And why don't we see what's going on here?
Brad, I leave it to you.
Okay, Leo. Well, I have been in publishing for 20 years, and I started in travel, which led to the Sacred Places series, which led to the Esoteric series, which then led to me meeting Leo. And he was here, as you mentioned earlier, in Long Beach a couple months ago with you, Donnie. And you guys both know Sean Stone, and I also was on Buzzsaw with Sean a little over a year ago. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of mutual friends. And by Sean's urging, he kept bugging me, I have to say. He was very persistent, saying, you got to get Leo's books out in the English language.
Well, I was just rewatching the Buzzsaw interview that Leo did when he first moved back here to Long Beach, and I rewatched it again, and it's a fabulous interview.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Thanks,
Leo's very good at interviews.
Yeah,
very fascinating figure.
It takes you a while to understand what he has to say, but once you do, it's great. No, it's brother.
How would you feel if we had to give an interview in Italian? It's not too easy to speak a second language.
It was so funny when I first met Leo. I mean, we hit it off. It was just so incredible. The brotherhood, the chemistry was just awesome. We had I don't want to say a bromance or anything like that, but Leo and I definitely, it was great. It was just as good of a man that I knew from virtual social media as I did when I met him. It was incredible.
Thank you, Donnie.
Sorry, go ahead, Leo.
No. I thank Donnie because he always has very kind words. But above all, we managed to exchange really a lot of experiences and information, I think, which has enabled us both to grow. Because when I first met Donnie, he was going through a very difficult period. And that's what I really witnessed in the second volume of my confession. So, Donnie, when you were asking, actually, I don't know if you were on the radio or not yet, but when you were asking earlier if what I wrote about you was good or bad, I would say is really your experience more than anything else. It's nothing I commented upon because it's for the reader to after make their opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And
I also think I do the same, Brad, when I worked with this book on the Vatican decline. I mean, I'm bringing up a lot of witness. Of course, being an insider, it's of great help. Don't you think, Brad?
Yeah, Leo, you have opened my eyes to a whole world of intrigue behind the walls of the Vatican. I mean, we're talking about one of the largest institutions, one of the wealthiest institutions on the planet, with so many skeletons in their closet, you can't even count them all. And so the big announcement tonight is really that CCC Publishing has signed Leo Lyon Zagami not only to do Pope Francis, the Last Pope, Money, Masons, and Occultism in the Decline of the Catholic Church, but all three of the Confessions of the Illuminati, as well as Invisible Master, which are going to come out each season, which is 6 months, for the next 2 years, 2.5 years. So I'm going to be quite busy working on these books, but I'll tell you, Donnie, they are amazing, and I'm so happy that between you and Sean Stone that I've been able to work with Leo. And I feel like I know him through his writing, how articulate he is and how in-depth he gets into some of these subjects. It's really mind-blowing. You're going to love this book.
It's a different approach, Donnie, from the internet approach writing. I mean, it's a much more in-depth approach.
Good. Yeah, I know you've been working viciously. I mean, I don't ever see you anymore online, hardly. You're working.
Well, it takes, to do this kind of work, it takes a lot of time of field work, and then put it together after it takes also a lot of time. So it's really a time-wasting, project, but in the end it gives you the satisfaction when you see things really having a great impact, because here we are not talking only about suppositions or maybe people making up stories without real evidence. I mean, mean, this morning when I'm here in Italy, but there was still the night in the States, somebody was saying also Malachi Martin was a great person in these expositions. Of course, Malachi Martin was an insider, a priest, but one thing that...
Hello, you guys there?
I'm still
of the
here.
people. It's a very different thing, and actually it's much more risky, and he has put me in great trouble. I mean, so it's not like I have done this job without having the consequences, you know. Brad, what do you think?
We all know what happened prior to you coming out here to Long Beach, and you know, we won't get into it, but you know, there's been problems left and right for you over the years, brother. And you know, you and I actually had a synchronicity of problems back in 2011. You know, one of the reasons why you and I kind of, you know, basically kind of came together. I can remember the old YouTube video. You know, everybody sending that out. It was a intimate conversation with a 32 and a 33, and you know, and we talked really hardcore about some of the things that are going out there, especially like the OTO and the Vatican and all of this, the satanic stuff that is just happening all over the world.
Well, it's now, of course, everybody is starting to investigate these things because they are coming out of the Vatican slowly. But to have an in-depth knowledge is still a very different thing, because you have to really know the scene, know these people, and have the trust of some of them to be able to get this information. So especially when you are on the field, it's a very risky job, because there is a lot of interest. Of course, there is a lot of enemies that can intercept what you're doing or try to stop you. And of course, when you get so close to the Pope, it becomes also a problem for the security of the Vatican. So, but at the same time, I mean, what I have been picturing is a church which is in complete decline and out of touch with the folk, which is supposed to be praying them. And now, of course, they're making a big show out of it by starting to arrest a few pedophiles, because we've been saying these things for many years, but now it seems like they have to act upon it. But it is a show. I mean, we have to be very careful here, because the Vatican is very good at setting up a show. If they had to arrest all the pedophiles in the Catholic Church, it will not be one or two cardinals. They will have to close the whole show, man. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I mean, Brad probably has read the book and he has seen how many people are involved in this whole thing. And it's not only this pedophile ring. There is much more to it. No, Brad?
Absolutely. Leo and I are going back just about every day with stories coming out of the Vatican. Leo adding excerpts to put into the text as I'm going through the master edit. And things are just moving so quick, Donnie. It's like this whole infrastructure that's been set up for practically the last 2,000 years is imploding right before our eyes.
Well, I think it's absolutely. I mean, I thought about this today. I was like, just when Leo was here last, Leo and I did the show, my comeback show, the first show, at his place here in Long Beach. And this is when, Leo was, one of the main reasons Leo came back to the United States was to get this information out there. And I think, and, this is my personal belief, but I think the Lord above is really looking over us and is giving us these tools. Not only my show, your publishing company, K-Beach, Truth Frequency, Leo's show out in Italy, just all of these positive things that we...
Yeah, and also must thank Sean Stone for being so persistent, who is also another brother Mason, by the way. So, I mean, there has been also good side to Masonry, like you said in this show at the beginning. But in this book, we have to also point out on the hypocrisy of what is called ecclesiastical Freemasonry. So people who are both inside the church criticize officially Freemasonry, and at the same time they are Freemasons. Now, when there is hypocrisy in Freemasonry and wrongdoing, it's really at very high levels. I mean, if the normal person can put together, let's say, a gang of thugs, a Freemason will put together an irregular lodge, and there is, of course, a much bigger difference in the modalities that follow. And today there has been an article that just came out. I have to go and get in one of the main newspapers in Italy, and it's a special dedicated to the lodges that count in Italy are not regular Freemason lodges like the ones you are used to, Donny. They are the irregular one, the one that
is this
have a
article
complete.
Pope Francis discussed priest pedophile and black mass. Is that the one that you posted earlier today?
No, this is a completely new thing. It's regarding the actual Freemasons, not the church. That the ones that count, and the ones also operating within the Vatican, are the ones who don't wear normal aprons. They actually cover their faces during their meetings. Okay. So it's a completely different kind of Freemasonry, which, of course, has, their traditions within Freemasonry. Because when Freemasonry was born, you know very well, Donny, it wasn't born as something that was... let's say, okay, we have the 1717 Constitution of the Four Lodges and the Goose and the Gridiron, and it becomes Freemasonry as we know it. Then we have the Anderson Constitutions. But then after, we have a series of rites of Freemasonry that basically create sex upon sex of Freemasons that, of course, some of them have very little to do with what's going on in real Freemasonry, in regular Freemasonry. And like the Illuminati, of course, they were branches of Freemasons portraying something different. They were doing something different, but they were also doing Freemasonry within the Illuminati lodges, at least in Adam Weishaupt times. So we're talking about Freemasonry sometimes being used by some people who are corrupt, and of course within the Catholic Church this assumes an even greater aspect of corruption and of intrigue. And we are in times, Brad has seen, of course he's reviewing the book because he's editing, he's seeing also the fact that these people are preparing for a collapse of the Catholic faith, so we can all embrace the one world religion, Donny. That is really the Antichrist religion. And it's not a joke, the one world religion.
No.
But before, there is, of course, somebody has to be instrumentalized. And Brad has also seen this very well. The Muslims and the Muslim world is the one that's been mostly instrumentalized by the whole thing, no?
Oh, I agree.
I mean, don't you think, Brad?
Well, there was the big news story a couple weeks ago of Israeli Zionists visiting the Vatican along with some Muslim clerics, and they proposed a new faith, blending Islam and Christianity.
Yeah, Chrislam. Yeah. And they, well, actually, one of, and I have a friend, his name is Peter Bazans. He did a movie, an independent movie called Look Beyond Our Differences, and he did it with the Dalai Lama. And some of these, like, outtakes that he had, and he went to the Vatican, we're seeing, like, all of these different religions all trying to become one. This is some serious stuff. This is talked about in the Bible, universal religion, the Antichrist, the Dajjal talks about it in the Quran. I mean, we're in some interesting times right now.
Very interesting times. And in all this, there is also the peculiar role of the Orthodox Church, which, of course, has as one of its most prominent leaders, Patriarch Kirill in Moscow. So we are talking also about a war that is taking place, for example, in Ukraine, and that war has a very deeply religious basis. In fact, if you go and study in the history of this later crisis, which is becoming a civil war and probably is leading the way for something even worse, because it's creating a lot of friction for the first time again, like in the Cold War times between Russia and the United United States, we know there is a religious basis. There was a war inside the Orthodox faith in Ukraine, and there was involved also the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church in the Eastern European countries is actually has a peculiar form of Catholicism, which is the Byzantine Rite, which basically is following the rituals of the Orthodox Church, and at the same time it is loyal to the Pope. Of course, by doing this, they're stealing the faithful from the Orthodox Church. The Orthodox Church is the only one that officially has opposed the microchipping, the 666, the mark of the beast. They are the only ones. There is, maybe there is some evangelist pastor in the USA, but here we are talking about an official church who has been invited to join the World Council of Religions, and it's, of course, been always like this big friction between Moscow Patriarchate and the Vatican since the time of the Cold War. And at one point, this conflict is becoming the conflict against the number of the beast.